So we have to learn that everything comes along is not who we are. Hearing myself talk, I guess I went from the I don't know stage to the there's too much here. I got to narrow down, got to narrow down, got to narrow down. So that's what's been happening over the
Yeah.
past, I would think, probably 15 or 20 years. I've been refining and refining and refining.
Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, guys, my custom is to welcome our guests. I know they're coming with a couple of things that I deem very expensive time. 24 hours has been offered to every man and woman. What we do with our time will tell us a lot about ourselves. We have to learn to value time. She is precious. The other is the journey. The journey is the way by which we lived, how we went through our life, if you will. And it gave us a couple of things that we want access to, that it deposited into Larry: wisdom, knowledge, insight, all of those wonderful things. And so we want to honor him for coming and sharing both of this precious commodity with us. Larry, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yeah, this is too long. It's an honor to have you, man. As I said, one of the things that I always ask everyone that comes is, how do you serve mankind? And that is a question I love to throw at people as they show up. How do you serve mankind?
Well, have we got 5 or 6 hours? I don't know. Or have we got 30 seconds? It's hard to tell. Short version is that I'm at the currently I'm at what I call the legacy stage. I'm working on my legacy project. And what that means is I'm looking back at my somewhat crazy, wild life to pull out some of the experiences I've had,
Yeah.
pull out some of the lessons I've learned from my life experience. Am I going too fast? Okay. I just got a puzzled look on your face. So we should hit the restart button or what?
Yeah, I'm not hearing. The delay is very long. I don't know. Hang on. My team is working on something. We're going to shut down our system and reboot. Give us a couple of seconds, Larry.
Okay.
Let's see, because the delay is so long that I can't hear to respond and so forth. So that's an injustice to us having this conversation. So give me a minute. Let's work on this.
If there's good news, it's the problems at your end with the team rather than me with nobody.
Is this any better?
You back?
Yep. I think I can hear you better now. And there's not much of a
Yeah, well,
delay.
that's great.
Are you there? Okay,
I am
cool.
here. I
All
am
right.
here. Okay. Once more from the top.
Awesome. So let me just, yeah, well, let's go back to the beginning. How do you serve mankind, Larry? Let's go with that.
Start from there. Okay. I'm at the happy stage in my life right now of what I'm doing is calling my legacy project. And the purpose of this is really twofold. It gives me a chance to take a look
Hmm.
back and consider some of the lessons I've learned along the way through my various experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. And it's kind of cool to recognize that. But what's even better is sharing the lessons learned, sharing my life lessons learned with others so that other people can benefit from my experience without the time, hassle, expense of learning new things. So it's basically trying to make sense of what I've done and share my life lessons learned with others.
That is awesome. I tell people that's it, man. We go through things and we learn and we gain some insight, some wisdom and stuff like that. And if someone is willing to listen to us, they can save some time as to how they can shave off some time, if you will, if they listen to the knowledge and the insight that we offer. So one of the ways by which we track our life here, Larry, is to go back the first space that we hang out, if you will, for a short time as we move through our life to become quote unquote an adult, is our family. What was your family unit like, man, as you were growing up?
Well, it was in some respects it was kind of a normal middle class kind of family. My parents and everybody in our world worked in factories. Education wasn't a big issue. Working in factories, being Canadian, hockey was the big thing. My father was a hockey player, and my brother was a hockey player. So
Hmm.
the expectation was that I would be also be a hockey player. Well, I was okay. Okay, I mean, I could skate and not fall down, that kind of thing. But I kind of didn't really go the athletic route. I was more academically inclined. I did a lot of reading and a lot of learning, and it didn't quite fit with my family. But we focused. We made it happen. We made it happen. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that, among other things, I love to learn. I love to grow, and I love to change. And that wasn't where my family was coming from. pretty much the way they'd always been, the way everybody else had always been. So looking back, it was a bit of a disconnect between my family's background and my experience and my, I don't know, genetic makeup, spiritual makeup. I wanted to do more. It's funny when I went to university, my mother thought it was really good because she thought by going to university I'd get a good job. And what she meant by a good job was a job in the factory office, not a job on the factory floor. So they didn't, my family didn't really understand. I didn't understand it either, but I just knew that I wasn't comfortable where they'd always been. And it wasn't until I got to university that I really saw the potential in me, and I kind of moved on from there.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Here you are in a situation like that where there is this, they wanted you to pursue the sports, if you will, hockey, and you are more mind and studious and so forth. When you're heading towards college, Larry, what field of study did you pick and why did you pick it?
Well, a little bit of background there. After high school, guidance counselor decided that I would be a good accountant because I'd been good in math. So I tried accounting for 3 months and it didn't work. So I didn't know what else I wanted to do, and was kind of interested in the church. So I thought I would go to college and become a priest, go to university and become a priest. Only because that was the only thing I could think of. It wasn't as if I had a burning desire. It was just the only thing that came to mind because I had no, I really didn't have any role models. I didn't want to teach in high school, and my friends' parents all worked in factories, so I didn't know what jobs there were other than factory, and I didn't want to work in factory. So I thought being a priest would be a good idea. It didn't last long, but that was the impetus. Went to be a priest, and the reason it didn't last too long is because at that time the people going into clergy, Anglican Church, Episcopalian stateside, at that time they were not bright people. They were not capable people. And I just couldn't spend myself spending my lifetime working with them, let alone 3 years in university. So I switched into arts. It was a default decision, but at least it got me out of my hometown and into the university situation. And I just thrived in university. It just first time in my life I had been recognized and valued for who I was rather than somebody's son or somebody's brother or somebody's nephew or somebody's cousin. So it was such a joy to be myself and interact with others as myself, not as an extension or part of my family.
How did that feel, Larry? Because that's an important distinction, if you will, when you made the statement this was the first time you got a chance to feel that way as an individual, because again, we are moving towards our independent, if you will, our independence from home, from the identity of the house to get into our world to begin to form our own. How did that feel, as you said, to have that independence as an individual?
Oh, it was it was really exciting. When I was in high school, I was involved in some extracurricular activities, but normally just in the middle of the group or a follower or something like that. Like I was in the band and I played second saxophone and I was played football and I was on an anonymous lineman, and anything I did, I was part of the group. And I don't know how it came about, but when I went to university, I became a leader. I joined extracurricular activities and I took leadership positions and I was organizing, and I was elected to office. And at times, sometimes I was accused of being a BMOC, big man on campus, but I was just thriving. It was just so good to almost feel the sunlight and feel the life and feel the energy. And I couldn't do enough. My marks were great, and I had some great friends and just doing really exciting things. So it was a breakthrough. It was a total and complete breakthrough. And so it was really exciting. And it helped me realize that I could do an awful lot more than what I had done. I mean, I was, I guess late teens when I went to university. And when I look back, I thought, wow, I could have done so much more in high school had I known then what I know now. But better late than never.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing stepping stone, amazing. And so many doors opened, so many opportunities. Yeah, it was life changing for me.
And as that life changing time, as you're now moving towards, and again, the beauty about college and being in that space is that we're acquiring a different type of knowledge, and some of it is skills depending on what field we're in. Some of it is life college, life experience from friends and learning and going on and exploring self and so forth. As you graduated, and because we are following the program, Larry, the program is that we get married, we have kids, we graduate from school, and we have the woman, the wife, the kids, the family, all that stuff, and the white picket fence and whatever. So as you're graduating and you're looking into your future, what was your mindset? Where were you looking at with all of your studies that you've gained? Was it some place of apprehension? Were you excited about it? What was your mind state at that time?
It's a good question. I think in all honesty, my mindset was, what now? What do I do now? When I was in the final year of university, I was on college council, and we had a reception for the new dean who was coming in. And he says, "So Larry, what are you doing next year?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "But you're graduating. You got to be doing something." I said, "I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to teach. I don't want to be a salesman for a large corporation. I don't know what I want to do." And he says, "Well, you've been in lots of extracurricular activities. Have you ever thought about law school?" And I said, "What do lawyers do?" And he said, "Oh, I think you'd be a great lawyer." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I was kind of happy with that because the law school was right across the road from where we were having the reception. So I just said, "Hey, I'll go over there to law school. I'll go over there tomorrow and find out about it." And he says, "Oh, no, no, you got to get off campus." And I think, oh, did I do something wrong? Did I really make a mistake here? And he went on to explain that after being as involved in student activities and the campus life as I was, it would be hard for me to step back and study law and let somebody else take over all this thing. So he says, "You got to go to another law school." And I said, "Okay." And I wound up going to, this was in University of Western Ontario, which is London. And
Yeah.
he said, I think University of Toronto is probably a good place for you." And I'm going, okay, I guess, whatever. And went through the application process, and I arrived at the University of Toronto Law School. And again, I was totally blown away. I mean, there were so many really bright people from all over the country. And I'm thinking, how did I get here? Why am I here? And so again, it was a total life-changing experience. I worked harder than I've ever worked before, because most of the time I was just able to cruise through things with minimal effort, whereas law school wasn't quite like that. And so it was one of those things that one thing led to another. In second year, my classmates were talking about where they were going to article, which is training. And I didn't want to say, I don't know what articling is. So I went home and talked to the lawyer who acted for my family when they bought a house. And I said, "I'm supposed to be looking for an articling job, and I don't know what articling is." So we talked about, he wound up hiring me, and I went back to article, and it was a great experience. So from the early part of my life, it was based on, I don't know, I guess this is okay. And it took me
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, 12 years of practicing law to really narrow my focus to who I was, what I wanted, and where I was going. But that's okay because I picked up a ton of experience along the way. And the experience I picked up in my I don't know phase turned out to be invaluable when I was really able to focus on what I wanted. So I wandered in the wilderness for a long time. And once I came out of the wilderness, it was, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I'm all about. This is what I'm going to do. Life's been a joy ever since. Well, it's been good all the way along, but more focused since then. So it's been a crazy journey.
Yeah, I tell people, Larry, that the reason why I'm asking you this question, because I remember reading all of your stuff, and you did so much, and how you saw how it tied into what you do now. And I've always been preaching from day one on this mic that I try to tell people that are listening is that everything you do in life will be used. It's just not the time yet. So wherever you're at, McDonald's, you're sweeping the street, it doesn't matter. The principles that you're going to learn at those positions will be used later on in your life, in your journey. And don't despise the small beginnings, is what I try to tell people, but learn while you're there, because there are valuable lessons there where you are, but you're not looking at it, you're frustrated, you're whatever, whatever, and missing the beauty of your space where you're at. And so that's what I love as you talk about your I don't know phase. So once you found out that thing that clicked, Larry, let's talk about that for a second. How did it click? What was it that began to steer you in that direction and it clicked? What would happen there?
It was, I guess it was after I left law, and I left law and left living in a small town, practice law in a small town, which is a special kind of experience. And we left the small town for a variety of reasons. And I started a consulting practice in a big city. And being a consultant in a big city as compared to being a lawyer in a small town is a dramatic change. And I realized I had to learn about marketing, which I really didn't have to do in a small town because people knew me and I got along well. And because they liked me, they came to me as a lawyer. But in a big city, it's not quite that easy. So I went to a marketing class and marketing course to learn how to market services. And the presenter said, if you really want to be successful, you need a book. And so he said, do you got to write a book? And I'm thinking, write a book? And so the more he talked about it, the more the idea appealed to me. And this was 1993, 1992, I guess. And so he did a small session on writing a book and getting it published. And it was an out of town event. So I'm driving back home. I'm thinking about writing a book. Well, at that time, large organizations, mid 90s, large organizations were flattening. A lot of employees were being let go. There's a lot of cutting back. And so there were a lot of people with a tremendous amount of skills who were trying to do what I was doing, running business from home, but didn't have the know how to run a business. As a lawyer, I helped a lot of clients start businesses, sell businesses, all that kind of thing. So I thought, why don't I write a book about home business? So I wrote a book about how to succeed in your home business. Financed it myself, self-published, wound up being Doubly Canada loved the book, so they wound up buying rights to it, publishing it. But it was when I saw the book come out and I had the book in my hand, it was almost as exciting as seeing my name on the sign for my law office. It was just so exciting. And at that time it was, yeah, I think this was what I was meant to do. And when I look back at the fact, well, although my public or my promotion, self promotion says I've done 30 books, I did a content inventory just the other day, and I've done 47 books or book equivalents. So obviously that was what I was meant to
Yeah.
do. So it took me a long time to figure it out. Now now it's just part of who I am. It's just and writing the book is not just writing the book. It's going back to what I said earlier. It's about sharing the experiences.
Wow.
Writing a book or by creating a video course
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm trying to pull lessons from my experience that I can share with others. So yeah, so it was writing the first book was really the door opener to where I am now.
Yeah, guys. And we're going to provide all of Larry's links so you can get those books because, as I said, my thing, Larry, I tell people within those walls that we call, you know, the covers of the book, house wisdom, and we ought to be willing to put in the time. And I always tell them, create the space when you grab that book, when you buy it, and you're about to read and come expecting. You have to come expecting. And when you come expecting, you're going to get something. If you're just reading just to read, it'll be a good story. But if you come expecting, usually because your mind makes a switch and it is looking for something as you are reading. And then once you began the process of reading, your mind will find it, extract that data, and that data will change your life forever. So we're going to provide all those links for you guys to get to Larry so that you can partake of his wisdom because that is what it is about. You learn from someone's wisdom so that you can move through or in corporate American marketing when I did the marketing because I love marketing as well. When I listen to all those guru boys, they talk about modeling ourselves after someone. And so when you grab someone else's wisdom, you begin to model yourself and you get the same results as they say, my NLP training and so forth. So here you are, Larry. You found it and you're excited. You're moving through and you've mentioned again, you're tapping into using your knowledge from law. You're using all of these things as you're here in this new world. When you found it, we talked about it as far as when you located and stuff like that. How did that begin to affect you, and how did it begin to manifest in your life, if you will? When you find your place, how did it manifest in your life on a day-to-day basis? How were you engaging with the world and others?
I think the first word that comes to mind is exciting. Every day was a new opportunity to learn something new. Along the way, I took a course in adult education, and I learned about experiential learning there, which is really quite interesting. Everybody tells us that experience is a great teacher, but nobody really tells us how to learn from experience. So in the course in adult education, I learned how to learn from experience. So I was able to unbundle an experience and pull a lesson out of it. So with this training, and it's not high power, it's not sophisticated, but with this training, I was able to pull lessons out of just about anything that happened. A crazy conversation with somebody on the street. I was able to think through, okay, so what happened? What conclusions here? What did I learn here? How can I apply this to my business and my life? So it just threw the doors wide open to continuous, ongoing, nonstop learning. The downside is that I'm a highly sensitive person, HSP, which means I overload very easily. So part of me wants to learn, and do. Another part of me is going, whoa, hold back. We got limited capacity here. Yeah, we do things deeply, but it's really tiring. So it was a continuing spiral into who I really am, learning that on the one hand, I really needed novelty. I really needed learning. I really needed to be creative. On the other hand, I really needed to be quiet. I really needed space. I really needed to connect with nature, connect with the higher source. So it was just a continued refinement. When I was practicing law, a friend of mine said that learning law is like sharpening a pencil. You grind away everything that is not the point. And I think that's a good analogy because so much of life is sharpening a pencil, getting rid of everything that's not life. Or Michelangelo, did David. He just chopped away everything that wasn't David. So we have to learn that everything comes along is not who we are. Hearing myself talk, I guess I went from the I don't know stage to the there's too much here. I got to narrow down, got to narrow down, got to narrow down. So that's what's been happening over the
Yeah.
past, I would think, probably 15 or 20 years. I've been refining and refining and refining, not narrowing my market, but narrowing my focus to focus on what I'm really good at, what my gifts are, and stop dabbling. I'm good in a lot of things, but I'm excellent in only a few. And so it's been a challenge to learn to say no to the things I'm good in, and in many cases better than most people, but not good enough to be really good, and concentrate on what I'm really good at, which is helping other people learn, is empowering and facilitation, that kind of thing. So it's an ongoing process. I'm still a work in progress. When my first book came out, it was so much fun. I was talking to friends, and I said, maybe when I grow up, maybe I'll be a lawyer, or maybe I'll be a writer. When I grow up, maybe I'll be a writer. And the comment was, why bother? And I'm thinking, why bother growing up, or why bother being a writer? Anyway, just a story.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a powerful distinction, Larry, that a lot of people don't understand, because if that's a powerful distinction, I think, and it simplifies one life, if you will, as you are more geared to fine tuning self. And, I love your analogy of the sharpening of the pencil. I've heard people say it this way about the layers of the onions. You're peeling and peeling, same outcome. As you are here today and you're peeling and peeling, where are you as to the fine tuning of you in your process, that you can now help one like myself, someone like me that coming with all over the place and not haven't been able to locate self? How have you, in your fine tuning, would be able to help someone like me that is scattered, if you will?
Interesting question. I guess a practical answer would be that what I've done is incorporated those suggestions into my book and my courses, the video courses. And I guess Yeah, I did the book, How to Succeed in Your Professional Service Business, and that led to a course called Your Transformation Connection. And what I've done there is try to guide people through the process of making the transformation from where they are to where they want to be, which involves it's pretty thorough self-examination, passion, purpose, interest, what you like, what you don't like, includes law of attraction, all those kinds of things. I think it starts with a pretty good understanding of who you are and what you want to do. And it goes from there. We spend so much of our life being told what we should do, either by parents or well meaning relatives and friends. And now it's anybody who has internet access is an expert on something or other. So we spend so much of our time dealing with people telling us what we should be doing. And to me, it comes down to who we really are. Okay, there's a the physical me, but there's also the spiritual me, and the spiritual me has pretty specific kinds of needs, as does the spiritual part of you or anyone else. And I think that it's
Yeah.
important to identify what those needs are, and then go about satisfying them. And I found that once I become clearer and clearer on what I need and want, the answers are there. Just think things pop up. I don't have to look as hard once I know,
Mhm.
as I say, once I know who I am and what I want to do. Finding them isn't all that hard. In some cases, they just pop up. Just pop up. Law of attraction. They just arrive. So I guess the answer would be let's spend some time talking about what's important to you. What are the values? What are the beliefs? What's your purpose? What's your passion? All those kinds of things. Funny story. When I was 3 or 4 years old, I wanted to be a garbage man because I thought garbage men were so cool. And part of the family story is me taking the kitchen garbage and scattering around the house. I guess I didn't realize they collected. Anyway, different story. And I turned out to be a lawyer, a consultant, a coach, blah, blah, blah. But when I look back, I think, well, being a lawyer, I cleaned up a lot of other people's messes. And being a coach and a consultant, I helped a lot of people clean up messes. So I guess that started when I was a kid wanting to be a garbage man. The point there is that sometimes our childhood dreams and aspirations can help us decide what we want to do, what area of life we want to work in. Yeah, and inspiration comes from all sorts of different sources, but we have to know ourselves well enough to know what to respond to.
Yeah. I agree. I think one of the reasons, Larry, that I go back into the childhood question is because I believe the child in us is not confused. We are much more in tune with the inner being, the soul, the spirit of the individual. I think we don't have the distractions of responsibility. We don't have the distractions of life. And that individual, that young individual dances in nature. There's a joy within them. It's different type of approach in their mind. There's a child playing kind of things. And as we become older and become more responsible, if you will, we disconnect from that pureness. And within all the dancing as a young child, we have glimpse of what our gifts are. And again, because of responsibility and societal programming beats it out of us, and education will beat it out of us as well. And as we go back into that journey, as you said, and we begin to dig and with the pencil sharpen and clear away the dirt, if you will, the parts of it, and make it a little more focused, we began to reclaim that memory of some of it. It will then magnify, and then things begin to make sense, if you will, about us. And it gives us some clarity to move through the different spaces in our life as an individual. I know in my life, that's what happened to me. Guys, Larry, I'm going to put all of his links so that you can get to Larry. He has several courses that are there. Transformation Connection. There's several other courses that you and I, we get so busy. We are busy about life. We are busy about our responsibilities. As I said, the bills, the kids, the wife, the husband, everything, the family, all that. And sometimes it is advantageous for us to grab a course, a study, something, because what does, it slows us down, gives us the opportunity to get data, especially in the areas that we're seeking, and it will help you and I. So get those courses, get in there, man. You have to get data. You have to make a sacrifice, if you will, if you want to change your space and move from where you're at. So we're going to provide all of those information for you guys to get to Larry.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.